Hey everyone, Jason Huffman here with Battle Hardened Games, and I just thought it'd be kind of fun to walk you through my top 10 favorite tabletop games of all time. There's going to be some old stuff in here, some new stuff, and I'll just give a little bit of commentary on why I've always been such a big fan of each game. But first, let's talk through some honorable mentions. So, some games that I've played quite a bit of, but haven't quite made that cutoff into my top 10. So, first of all, you've got your game Boss Monster. Boss Monster is still fairly new, developed by Brotherwise Games, and you know what this game has going for it is theme, and a lot of the games that I'm really into are, I think, games where I just really like the theme. At least that's a really essential component of it. Boss Monster, very fun. We're still kind of getting used to this one. Played it probably about 4 or 5 times so far, and it's been a lot of fun, but the main thing about this game is all the NES throwback art, and even like the box itself is really designed like a old Nintendo cartridge. The instruction booklet is also like an old NES game, so they did a really nice job of having a good theme. Another one I'm into is Munchkin. We've played Munchkin a lot. We were probably playing it a lot more about 5 years ago, but it's always been a fun game that has been good, especially if we're looking for something lighter and we've got a big group of people. Carcassonne, this is more of a tile game. Most of you are probably familiar with it, but you know, you use tiles to kind of complete a puzzle. Ooh. And you get points based on how you put that puzzle together and how you place units onto the map as it expands. So, always been fun. Another one is Settlers, of course. Everybody knows Settlers. A lot of fun things about this game. I don't think it probably needs much more explanation by me. My favorite thing about this game is that it kind of ushered in this era of all these Euro games and other games becoming more popular. So, gotta give some love to Settlers. But anyway, let's get started with my top 10. So, first one here is Dominion. Dominion has gotten to be pretty popular. Most people know about it. It's a deck building game where you can purchase cards, bring them into your deck, and you're always kind of trying to work on your hand efficiency, making your hands stronger and stronger as you acquire new cards and score points. Very fun game. Seems to work exceptionally well in terms of scaling, you know, for 2, 3, 4 players. Doesn't seem to really suffer at all at any level. So I know especially when we have like 3 to 5 players, this is very popular. Another one, this one for me is still fairly new, Macau. It's a Stefan Feld game, and I've heard a couple of people describe this as a points salad, meaning there's like all these different ways to score points, and that's just kind of what you're doing all throughout the game, scoring points, and you got this variety of ways to achieve that. Love this game, love the cubes mechanic in terms of how you can get resources and plan them out over future turns. I'm definitely going to check out other Stefan Feld games. I've never played Castles of Burgundy or any of his newer stuff, so I'm looking forward to trying out some of his other titles. Alright, now I said it was tabletop games, so here's a little different one. Warhammer, currently on the 8th edition of Warhammer Fantasy. I'm in the minority on this. Most people who play Warhammer play 40k. Doing a little model there for you. Warhammer, you know, I've been playing it since I was a teenager, so we're going back a good 15, 16 years on this one. And I've just always loved it. It's always had such a great set of rules. A lot of the people who like fantasy always feel like it's a little more tactical or a little more in-depth in terms of strategy versus 40k. I mostly like it more just because of the theme. I'm kind of more of a fantasy than sci-fi person when it comes to theme. And yeah, I don't know. It's just always been awesome. I'm not super into the hobby aspect of it. A lot of my painting, I'll either commission it through Sean Gately's service, Blue Table Painting, and they do a great job, or I'll do eBay to just find armies that are already painted. So for me, that kind of helps just focus on the gaming aspect of it versus the hobby aspect, but a lot of people like the hobby aspect as well. Next one, kind of a similar concept, is HeroQuest. I discovered HeroQuest when I was about 9 years old. One of my friends bought this, and over the course of probably a year, there was a number of games played. We played through the whole campaign, and this has just kind of always had a special place in my heart as far as kind of, I don't know, just kind of a wonderful game, very interesting. It was kind of the first RPG style game that I had ever played, but I still liked that it had so many components, and I think for me this was definitely kind of the gateway drug into Warhammer a little bit. As well as this game, Battle Masters. And this is, it came out right around the same time. I think they both came out around 1990. This, of course, is more of the battle simulation, whereas HeroQuest is more of the role-playing game version in the same setting. Both Games Workshop, Milton Bradley collaborative efforts, and this one's always a lot of fun. Always liked the battle deck mechanic in this one, and I incorporated that a little bit into the game that I developed, 1750 Britain versus France, in terms of a random deck draw. The way I use it is different than in Battle Masters, but I just think there's some fun in drawing a card at the start of each turn. Okay, so also, when we talk tabletop games, we get into the customizable or collectible card games a little bit. And two of these make the list for me. The first one, I've got to have an Admiral Akbar setting, right? Star Wars CCG, I played a lot between 1995 and really the early 2000 years. Hosted a tournament, played in a lot of tournaments. It was probably the game where I got most involved in terms of keeping up with sets and releases and, tournament play. But just wonderful game, awesome mechanics, and it's kind of too bad it's not around anymore, but then again, I figure it would have sucked away half of my life, so maybe it's a good thing it's gone. So one other card game, of course, in that same arena is Magic the Gathering. Magic I played a lot of when I was an undergraduate, kind of after Star Wars fell off, and everybody knows Magic the Gathering, but of course a terrific game. And now for our last two. Mare Nostrum is a game that I think most people don't know. This is the expansion, the mythology expansion. This came out in the mid-2000 years, and I don't know, it's kind of like Risk meets Civilization with some card trading thrown in. It's got a really interesting combat system. The main thing is just the theme of the game and very interesting mechanics. So, kind of a hard game to get a hold of now. I think you can only get it like on the secondary market, but if you ever get the chance to check it out, I think it's definitely worth it. What it lacks compared to some other games, perhaps in terms of mechanics, I feel like it makes up for in terms of the theme and the artwork and just kind of the overall production value of it. And speaking of production value, that kind of brings me to the last game. I used to play Diplomacy a little bit in high school and college, had a lot of great games of it, and I always thought it was just a terrific game, excellent mechanics, a really good game for a high number of players. Like if you have 6 or 7 players, it's exceptionally good at that. Well, this is not my favorite game of all time. My favorite game of all time is the newer kind of spiritual successor to Diplomacy, which is Game of Thrones, the board game. Obviously, this game has theme going for it, and with the popularity of the show and the books, plenty of people are going to check it out. But truly, the thing I love about this game are the mechanics. It's very much like Diplomacy, where there's not a ton of luck thrown in. It's a lot of strategy and planning and skill, but it's more complicated than Diplomacy. In Diplomacy, you normally would just move units and set some units to support other units, Well, in this game there's movement and there's support, but there's also these like defense mechanics, raids, and consolidation of power. So there's more variety to the actions that units can take. And then there's also these other totally different elements, like there's a wildlings deck, there's these other cards that influence the bidding on tracks, and there's these different tracks that control tiebreakers and give you different benefits. So it's definitely like diplomacy on steroids with an awesome theme behind it. There's a couple different expansions to it. There's a Feast for Crows expansion and a Dance with Dragons. Interestingly, although this is book 4 and this is book 5, the book 5 expansion actually came out earlier in 2012, and the book 4 expansion came out just last year in 2013. And one note also on the 2013 expansion, A Feast for Crows, is that it's a 4-player scenario. I think the game definitely plays strongest if you have the full complement of 6 people. Seems a little unbalanced if you have less than 6. So, I don't know, I haven't tried out the Feast for Crows expansion yet with the 4 players, but I'm looking forward to that and seeing how that goes. So, anyway, those are my picks. I think I only hit 9. The 10th one was Axis and Allies. And this is just another great old school game. You know, Risk almost made my list, but Risk for me kind of got replaced by Axis and Allies with its variety of units and kind of stronger theme, you know, more interesting starting scenario with the 5 players having the different starting setups. And I don't know. I like Risk, but to me Axis and Allies is just always more interesting. But yeah, so I think that's 10. So that's my 10 top favorite games of all time. Let me know what you think, guys, and look forward to hearing what some of your favorite games are as well.